I have not made a film in 5 years, so it's probably time that we change that. In my early 20s, I did the 48-hour film project 6 different times between 2012 and 2018. And after my last experience in 2018, I swore off that I would never, ever do it again. Why, you might ask? Well, because I'm petty. And it's a competition. I'm highly competitive. I've never won any awards aside from an audience voted award, which I very much appreciate, I just want to say. But I've never won any awards officially from 48 Hour in any of the 6 times that I participated. And, a lot of the same teams were winning year after year. And I just kind of got fed up with everything. But during that time, I never realized something a little more important that I started to realize here in my mid-30s. I was consistently making movies when I was doing the 48-hour film project. It forced me to at least make one movie every single year, whether it was good or not, but I was committed enough to at least do that competition. It was very low effort, didn't have to do a lot of prep because you can't do a lot of prep, which I'll explain more here in a second, but you didn't have to do a lot of prep. I had plenty of friends who wanted to participate with me, so it was a pretty low effort way to continuously make movies. In fact, most of my short films from 2010 to 2020 came from the 48-hour film project. Now, another nice thing about the 48-hour film project is that, it's pretty low cost. Everybody has to be volunteers, so nobody can get paid for it. So I could basically make a movie for as cheap as possible. And the other beauty of it is that you can win some awards and you also get to play in a theater. So for the entry fee is like $160. So for $160, you get to participate, potentially get some awards, and you get to play in a movie theater, which is a pretty good deal, especially when you consider there's going to be a bunch of people at the theater. You're going to be able to see an audience's reaction, which the audience's reaction on my last film kind of took me back a bit just because I wasn't expecting such a positive reaction. My film in the previous year before that got the complete opposite reaction. So that's what I'm talking about. For those who don't know what the 48-hour film project is, it's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a 2-day competition where you get a group of people together, you make a 4 to 7 minute film, you have to write, shoot, edit, all of that within that 48-hour period. Like I mentioned, I've done it 6 times between 2012 through 2018. I skipped 2015 for some reason. I don't remember exactly why, but I didn't do 2015 for some reason. But pretty much every single year between 2012 and 2018, I participated. So back in early June, I put out some feelers like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Is anybody interested? And to my surprise, a lot of my old cast and crew friends who I've worked with for a long time all expressed interest in doing it. So apparently everybody's as hungry as I am to make another film. And with this channel, I talk a lot about filmmaking. I do a lot of tutorials. I talk to other filmmakers about their films, but I don't get the chance to actually be on set or show you my process as far as how I'm making films. So I thought it would be fun to document my process and just how me planning a short film, right? We're planning a short film from start to finish. So today's video, I'm going to give you a behind the scenes look as far as all of my equipment. So I'm going to go through all of my equipment. The next video, we'll talk a little bit about pre-production stuff. I'll do a video about the weekend in making the film itself. There's going to be a screening, like I mentioned, and there's also an award screening. If we're a part of the award screening, we'll go there and film some stuff for that. And then, of course, I will release the short film on YouTube after I'm allowed to put it out. So it should be a lot of fun. It's going to be very stressful. Part 1 of this video, this is actually my second take of making this video just because I've been having trouble figuring out my lavalier mic. Here on my DJI Osmo that I've been walking around with, there was a noise reduction setting that I didn't realize when I was shooting the original video. So this is actually, I think, take 3. It took me forever to freaking figure out how to turn off the noise reduction setting so it doesn't sound, like I'm underwater. So when I go over my equipment here in a second and I sound underwater, that's why. And I'm really sorry about that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the first video here with the equipment tour. So I guess you're going to get a little bit of an office tour. You're going to get a little bit of a gear tour. So this is the office. This is going to be hard to kind of show because it's really tight in here. This is a small room, But I got my giant aperture light here for recording my YouTube videos. Right here is normally where my camera sits, but I'm going to show you where that is here in a second. So we'll have this big aperture light to use, which will be really nice. I got a whole bunch of gear on these shelves and such, and then I got my gear closet in here full of stuff. So this top bin right here is actually where all my light stuff is. And then this is where I used to put my camera and such. I got a DJI gimbal here that we'll use if necessary. There's some backdrops and stuff in here in those containers. And then we just have some diffusion, and there's a green screen there. It's a little dark. The lighting's not going to be great in this video. But yeah, so everything else, I'm going to walk out to the front room here because I've been testing gear literally all morning today. This is going to be fun because I don't think I've ever shown any of this on camera, but we're going to look at the camera rig. So I got the camera rig all set up right now. I'm going to go to the other side really quick so I can show the camera itself a little bit better. But this is a Blackmagic Pocket 4K that's on this rig that I built. So I know this rig looks really intimidating, but this is, years worth of stuff that I put together. So we got the tripod it's on. That's just like $100 tripod that I got on Amazon at some point. This is a Micro Four Thirds camera, and all my lenses, of course, are EF lenses. So I got this cheap $10 adapter on it. This is just a crappy matte box I bought on Amazon. This is a whole bunch of newer, you can see newer right there, but just rails and stuff. So all this is custom built. Like, you can't get any of the things that I have on here just kind of made like this. So, this functions a couple different ways. We got, being able to put a V-mount battery on here, which I actually need to get some more of these because this battery currently does not work. Shoulder pad for, handheld, which I'll show you the handheld here in a moment. We got a ankle weight that I put on here. And then I actually have this system for the camera because one thing that's always taking up, a ton of time is just getting from one setup to the next. So I'm like, I need to build a system to, make it a little bit more universal. So I found these tripod mounts. So you can see there's actually this one right here that's mounted to the tripod. Then we have this rail system right here. And then I have another tripod mount right here. And this one's mounted to the camera. So that way I can take the camera out, and then the rig is all together. So if I just need the camera, like to put on the gimbal or something, I can do that. If I want to take this whole thing off and throw it on my shoulder, I can do that, which I'll show you here in a second. This is a little ridiculous right now. Like this back part here is actually, it comes off. So I can make this a little bit more compact because as you can see, this is a pretty long rig. But yeah, that back part will come off to make it a little more compact. The Blackmagic is not great, obviously, for monitoring. So I got an external monitor here that I can attach to it. Where's it at? So I can attach it to the rails here. So, the monitor is a little bit more back here. And this is a Blackmagic recorder / monitor. So I can actually mirror what's on the camera to the monitor. If I need to check focus or false color or anything like that, I have the ability to do that. But we'll get into this. I need to show off the shoulder rig here in a second, but I gotta show off some other stuff. It's fun going into looking at all my past gear because it's like looking at ancient relics, right? Because I haven't made anything in a few years. But so we have this. This is my boom pole. Even though it's a converted monopod. So I just took a monopod. This is like a monopod that I got at like Walmart or something. So, it's adjustable. So if I need to, it's hard to see, but if I wanted to make it smaller, make it longer, I have the ability to do that. Adjustable like a regular boom pole. This would be the shoe mount for the monopod, or just the end. So you can, stabilize it on the ground. I took that off, and then I just I don't remember exactly what's behind this gaffing tape, but I got this so that way I could put a Rode NTG2 on it easily. So that's nice. And then at the end here, got the 1/4 inch bolt for the actually mounting the camera. And we just got a Zoom H6 here on the end, which everything's attached, so it makes it really portable. You just plug some headphones in and you're good to go. Now I was testing this morning. Might need to get another cable. The XLR cable is a little sensitive, so I'm gonna get another one just as a backup, just so we can, you know, not take any risks with the sound. I'm also, it's been a long time since I've used a lot of my batteries. So like right now I got this monitor on, which this monitoring system, this will be for the handheld. This isn't the best system right here. I'll kind of show that off here in a second, but you know, it's something. But I'm stress testing batteries right now. This battery's been running for about an hour. So far so good, but that's not been the case for all of my batteries. So actually right here, I'm testing some lights. This light has been working for a while. This one, it looks like the battery ran out, so this might be another dead one. I'm gonna have to test that again here, so that's unfortunate. So here's my little graveyard of these Sony NP batteries for these old Aperture lights, which these Aperture lights I bought in like 2015. It's over 10 years ago, but they're still working. They're still working pretty good, but the batteries not so much. But over here on my table, I got a whole bunch of batteries that I'm charging and testing and such right now. And so far, I think the rest of these batteries are good. I got to test these ones right here, but overall, they seem to be working pretty good. But, you know, I got a whole bunch of junk here. I got these little Tascam lavaliers. These are actually recorders as well. So they're kind of a pain to use because you can't, like, there's no receiver to them. Like, this is the receiver and the recorder. So there's no way to mark the clips. When I made Cashing Out, I actually just recorded hours worth of audio just so I wouldn't have to have the actors cut anything. But I might have to change that because that didn't work out too well. But I got 3 of those. And then I got my DJI one. I need to get a lavalier mic for this, like the cable mic. So that way I have a 4th one, because this is actually, it has an internal recorder as well, which is really nice. So I have a 4th option that I can use for that as well. Some other interesting things here. So I have these lenses. We got a 35mm Rokinon lens, got a 50, or that's the 85. We got a 50 here. I haven't really gotten the chance to use these. I bought them back in like, I don't know, like 2020, or no, it was actually 2019. So I bought all these lenses. I worked on another production who had these lenses, and I'm like, oh, I got to get some of these. But then, you know, COVID happened and I wasn't able to, then I made one short film afterwards where I used, I think, the 35 and my lens that's on the camera here already. But I haven't had a chance to use the rest of those. So we need to start using our equipment again, so it's not just sitting around. But some other fun artifacts, we got my old Blackmagic camera, which is what I shot every project between like 2014 and 2019 on. So my last 48-hour film project was shot on this. My last, or Cashing Out, was shot on this camera, and believe it or not, it still works. I don't know if it records, but I was looking at it earlier and it still works. Now, one problem that I'm having to figure out is recording. So on the actual camera, I have this hard drive right here, which is fine, but it only shoots 500 gigs, and I plan on shooting RAW for 48-hour. I don't have to, but I would like to, and I want to shoot 4K, obviously, so I got to figure that out. But I was looking through some of my stuff from the past, and I found some things that I hope are going to help me, which I don't know where they went, but I have this hard drive. I use this to edit on, but this should work for recording too. I'm gonna have to run some tests on it to make sure it actually works, but we have that option. And then I had 2 other hard drives. I have this SSD right here. I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to try. And then I had a couple other SSDs here as well. Yeah, they're right here. So I haven't used these in years. So this is what I used to use on my Blackmagic camera. So this is what I used to record on. And then I have this other one It says 480 gigs, so that gives us another 500. And I think this one, if I'm not mistaken, is 480 gigs too. So we'll have at least three hard drives, hopefully, that will record. I need to get a cable for this. So I have, you know, this SATA to USB-A, but I don't have it to USB-C. And I need to get another case for this hard drive too. But hopefully we got our storage solutions figured out so we don't need to, you know, buy anything. Because one thing that I'm trying not to do in this film is spend a ton of money. You know, I don't want to drop like $1,000, having not made a film, and then just drop $1,000 on gear. And if, you know, I never make another movie after this, you know, that's just it. So I'm trying not to do that, you know, to just to make sure I'm still in it, I guess. I mean, I am, but like I said, I just don't want to drop a bunch of unnecessary money. Like, I've got plenty of gear. Like, let's try to make what we have work before we try to spend a bunch of money. I do need to buy a couple of things I'm going to have to buy. So unfortunately, like I said, this battery, this V-mount battery right here doesn't appear to work. I'm going to see if I can jump it maybe. Like, it'll charge, but it just won't like power the camera, which kind of sucks because these batteries, like I have two of them and one of them crapped out on me a few years ago. And these batteries are $300 each. Like, I put them through the ringer, you know, working on projects. Like, I've had this one specifically since 2014 and it's worked wonderfully. The other one I bought crapped out sooner, which kind of sucked. But, you know, I was able to get a couple projects with it at least. So I need to figure that out if I'm gonna have to buy another battery or two, you know. And I was looking at some small rig batteries and those were, you know, like $150. So, I mean, I could probably get at least one because, you know, unless I'm shooting in the house, I have no way to power this camera without plugging it into a wall, which I can do. You know, it's not a huge problem, but I would like to be able to be mobile as well. And then another problem here too is that this lens right here, this is a Tokina 11 to 16 millimeter. I love this lens to death. But the problem with this is that because this is a Micro Four Thirds camera and I have this cheap adapter on here, that means none of the electrical components will work. So I can't use the aperture on this camera. So if I'm shooting outside, you know, if it's more bright out, I'm gonna have to figure that out. I'm gonna have to use an ND filter. You know, I'm gonna have to shoot in a different shutter angle or something. But, you know, I might have to suck it up and, you know, buy another lens, but we'll see. But let me, to end this, because this is already getting pretty long, let me show you real quick the handheld rig. Okay, so like I was saying, I built this rig to kind of be multifunctional, right? Like when you're making smaller movies like we do, we need to be able to move things quickly. So over here in the back, like I had mentioned before, this is just like an ankle weight. But if I remove I can actually take this off to make this a little bit more compact, which makes, you know, the whole thing a little bit more reasonable to carry around. But the reason why I got this anchor weight on here right now is because I'm going to show you the handheld rig, which this thing is very, very top heavy up here, obviously, because I've got all this stuff on here. It's not too bad, but, you know, your arm's going to get tired, and if you're doing a long take or anything like that, you need to be able to move around quickly, right? So we're gonna just take this right off the tripod. So I got, like I said, this mount right here. It's the same mount right here on the camera just by itself, but we're gonna go ahead and take this off. And you know, this thing's not gonna hold up, but that's fine. We don't need it to right now. So we're gonna take this off, be very careful. And now we are good to go. I'm gonna have to figure this out. This is gonna get annoying. But, you know, I got the monitor right here so I can see what I'm doing. If I got to hold it like this, I guess that's what I got to do, right? But, you know, once we're done here, if we need to go back locked into a tripod, then we just put it right back on. And then we're good to go. And if I, like I said, this is a little too put together right now, but I can actually, I don't know if so you can see how this kind of slides too. That's just, like I said, it's on the same. These two mounts right here are exactly the same. So I was able to find a universal mount right there to kind of get things going. That does it for this video. Like I said, on the next video, we're going to get into some more pre-production stuff. I'm going to introduce you into my new producing partner, which is a little exciting, but I'm going to get into some of the planning aspects for actually making this happen. So I appreciate all of you watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to continue watching this series or any of my other videos. If you'd like to support me directly, my feature film, Cashing Out, here right next to my head, is available on many different platforms. You can find your favorite place to watch at cashingoutfilm.com or link in the description. And of course, I will have a playlist of all my 48-hour videos here. Maybe I'll put up a playlist of my previous 48-hour short films if you would like to watch those. But no, regardless, I'll link some stuff here on screen that you can check out if you'd like to continue watching. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.